Hello there, welcome to this video. I'm making this video because I would like to share a discovery I have made, which I think is quite important, and it relates to religious structures and why you should care about religion. Because today I see that our society is going sideways, like it, yeah, and you see this in many places in the US, but also in Europe. Like things are collapsing. And so, so this is an argument for a materialistic argument for religion and why you should care about religion and the religious structures. Okay, so the discovery is also something Peterson has talked about, Jordan Peterson, so it's in the same realm. And other people than Jordan Peterson has discovered this as well. And I will just write down this the parts now. So one part is the FI function, and this concept here is connected up to what I would say is a tree of life. Yes. And so my argument is that through the study of the Jungian type theory, this describes this FI function. This FI function is like a part of your brain. It's a part of your brain, and this is a part in all of our brains. And this function, it regulates morals. Like and what is morals? It's a hierarchy of the hierarchy of right and wrong. Right and wrong. Okay, so right and wrong. So, and how is this connected up to the tree of life? Because this hierarchy of right and wrong, I would say that forms what I would call a moral tree. So we have and this is a tree-like structure and you use this structure to make decisions. So this is a tree-like structure. And this tree also regulates violence. And I also think it regulates action, because action and violence is connected. So why do something? Why do something? And this why do something is connected up to, and why is connected up to religious stories. And it's like the concepts in these stories that form this tree. So it's really important to have these stories correct, because if these stories are not correct, they can create a destructive moral tree. And as an example, it regulates violence. So I think that this this function. The example is if you see somebody steal a candy bar in the shop, I don't think that you would go up and punch them in like a normal Western situation where you have lots of food and stuff like that. But you would like maybe do something. But if you see somebody like kick a baby, then you will probably beat them up, even though it's wrong to beat people, because we have our religious story tells us that it's wrong to just beat somebody, even though in other and these religious stories, the collection of these religious stories, they form our society and our civilization. So to differentiate, to see contrast, you can contrast this with like the Roman Empire and their stories, because in our day we say that no, you shouldn't kill anybody, or at least in where I live. But in Roman Empire you could like kill random people if you wanted to. Like if your slave wasn't behaving, then you could like kill him. Or it was easier to kill people in the Roman times, but because of our religious structure, we now say no, it's not okay to kill people. So and I think that these the three are watered or programmed by the stories we tell, and it's important to get these stories correct. And we find these stories in our religious texts. But when you stop paying attention to those religious texts, some people want to create their own religious text, like the secular people often want to create their own religious text. And like a concrete example for that is like the story of equity. And I think this is very destructive. I think this is quite destructive because you say that all things are equal. So, for example, now it's like so-called Pride Month, and then you have hetero, and you have pedo, and then you have all the range of sexualities in here. But like the pedo is like the worst, and I'm not saying that if you have those urges but don't act on them, then it's like fine. But if you act on those urges and go after children, then you're like evil, because you take away their innocence, and doing that is evil of many reasons. But in an equity system, then you say that all things are equal. So they say that homosexuality is, and doing homosexual acts are the same as heterosexual acts. And I don't know, maybe not. But you say that all sexualities are equal. So then you come into the realm of pedophilia, and that's like clearly wrong. But people are trying to defend them. But I think that this is really destructive. And if these thoughts here of equity is like spread in the society, then I think that we will get a violent society, because we're not passing reality in the good way, and this creates lots of situations where people can become violent. But it also, you get, it's really important that people have the same moral structure in the society, because if people have different moral structure and if you have some people that thinks it's okay to be, lots of people think it's okay to be pedophiles, and lots of people that think that's not okay, and these two groups of people mix, then you can have people that beat each other up. So it's kind of important that the society has been synchronized into to have the same moral tree. That's why we should have the same religious stories told. People should be taught the same religious stories. So I think this is a country. A country is a place where people tell the same religious story. We talk about religion of freedom, but and you should be free to have your own religion, but I don't think it's wise to mix radically different religious structures together, because then you kinda ask for to have a more violent society, because I think I think this regulates violence. So and also it regulates why to do something. So if you have the thought patterns of equity, then everything is equal. So why should you do anything? Like nothing is worth anything, because if everything is worth the same, then it's not worth anything. Because if you have like some garbage on the street, that's like the same as if everything is the same, why should you do anything? The reason you do something is because you want to climb the hierarchy. Like you want to climb the hierarchy, you want to reach the ultimate good, which is up here. So you strive to become a better person. But if you believe that everything is equal, then like this hierarchy has just flattened out. There's like no place to go. So why do anything? So I think that if you follow a good religious story, I think that this is like the tree of life. Because the ultimate tree here is this tree of life. And this tree here, that exists inside your brain, in your psyche. And because if you have the ultimate tree of life, or the ultimate tree, then it becomes the tree of life. Or if you have a good tree, then it is your tree of life, because it gives your life, like you get activated outside in the world to do stuff. You want to climb the hierarchy, you want to become a better person, you want to like follow the best moral structure. And I would argue that's like following the path of Christ, and to follow his teachings and to understand Christ and to put Christ in the center of your, because that's what when the Bible talks about you shouldn't have any other gods than me. It's because this should be like God, should be like the center, like the root in your structure. Because if anything else is the structure, it will control you. So if your structure is like money, then when you get less money, then you get like depressed and anxiety, and maybe it will if this is like down here, then that has really strong impact on your violence. So maybe to get more money, you will maybe start to become devious and insensitive and use unseemly tactics. Okay, because you're so greedy, you want so much money. Or maybe looking good is like you really care about your looks, so that's really like that's your God, and that like makes you depressed to get old. Of course, maybe you think that my skin is like and you know, or whatever. So that's why I have like the 7 sins, because yeah. But if God is the center of your life, like, and I would argue Jesus Christ, then what would that say? It's like, okay, I don't, because it's not about caring about all of the superficial stuff, and then it's about trying to avoid all of these sins, identify the sins, and just follow the path of Christ, and that's like self-sacrifice and being nice to other people, and yeah, and stuff like that. But if you do all of this good stuff, if you have a good regular, if your religious stories, which has programmed your moral tree here, then you do lots of constructive stuff for other people and yourself. But then you live in love and all of that, and then you have like the tree of life here. And I think that this religious structure here can be mapped up to this Fi function, which Jungian type theory talks about. And this Jungian type theory, it's like there's been brain scans of people and stuff like that. But this again will. So if people were to understand that you have a part of your brain that's religious, that everybody's religious, and then if everybody's religious, then you should think about, okay, then it's really important that we figure out good religious stories. And I think that, yeah, again, I think the Bible and the stories, they are good. So yeah. Because when people have like left the traditional religious stories, other things will just spring up because they still have this circuit, this function in there, and things will fill that void. And nowadays, that void is being filled by the doctrine of equity, and and that's really destructive, because it flattens the morals. So you don't, yeah, and that creates loads of problems in the society. Okay, so this was my short version of this. Yeah, please leave comments and questions if you have any, and I will try to answer those. Okay, thank you for your time. God bless.